عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله على إحسانه وشكرا له على توفيقه وامتنانه. شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله توفيقا لشأنه، وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله الداعي إلى رضوانه وبعد. Inshallah, today we'll be explaining on the hadith. I think we have less than 7 hadiths to finish this chapter. Less than 7 hadiths to finish the chapter of Iman. So, among the many chapters we have is فضل من استبرأ لدينه. That's the benefits or the superiority. That's how does someone who runs away from haram for the sake of his religion, someone who guides his religion, what is the benefit of that person? What's the level of that person between others? من استبرأ لدينه أي من استبرأ من الآثام. That is, what is the benefit of someone who runs away from sin just to protect his religion? That is trying to make sure that he does not do anything that is haram. So what is the benefit? What is the reward of that person? How high is that person in the sight of others? What makes that person better than other Muslims who are not doing the same? So the hadith says, حدثنا أبو نعيم قال حدثنا زكريا عن عامر قال سمعت النعمان بن بشير يقول سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول الحلال بين والحرام بين وبينهما مشبهات لا يعلمها كثير من الناس فمن اتقى المشبهات استبرأ لدينه وعرضه ومن وقع في الشبهات كراع يرعى حول الحمى يوشك أن يواقعه ألا وإن لكل ملك حمى ألا إن حمى الله محارمه ألا وإن في الجسد مضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب. So it says that the hadith was narrated directly from Prophet ﷺ by al-Nu'man bin Bashir. Nu'man bin Bashir was one of the Sahabas of the Prophet ﷺ, one of they call them the small Sahabas. Small Sahabas. That means he met the Prophet ﷺ, he learned from him, but he was still at a very young age then. He was still at a very young age. That's what they call it. You have Kubar al-Sahaba, like Umar, Uthman, Ali. They have Sigar al-Sahaba, like Ibn Anas and Nu'man bin Bashir. So they call him Sigar al-Sahaba. So, he was one who narrated the hadith. He said, the Prophet said, يقول الحلال بين والحرام بين. The Prophet said that halal bayin, that's things that Allah has made lawful. It is that Allah has said, okay, you should do them, or they are allowed for you to do. He has made them clear. Wal haram bayin, and the things that He has forbidden, He has also made them clear. That He has told you that this thing is halal, you should do it, you can do it. And this thing is what? Is haram, you should not do it. For example, in the ayah that says, وَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى. That is, Allah has made trading. That is when you buy something from someone, it allows you to buy and sell. I want to buy this book from Abu Muhammad, for instance. I want to buy this book from him. Then he will tell me, okay, this book is 1,000 naira. I'll collect the book. I'll give him 1,000 naira for the book. That is that is trading. I bought the book from him. Then riba, I want to buy this book in debt, for instance. That's for interest. The first one is trade. This is interest. The first one is halal. That's the trade we perform. He tells me the amount of the book. He gave me the book and I paid him his money. Then if I want to buy this book in debt first, I want to make example for interest. Then I'll tell him, oh, this is the book. How much is this book? He says 1,000 naira. I say, okay, I'll give you this book. I'll give you the money by weekend. Don't worry, I'll add. Then he will tell me, okay, if you want me to give you the money, you want me to give you this book, so you pay by weekend, then you have to add some cash to it. Possibly you add 200 naira to it. 200 naira. As small as 200 naira, for instance. I say you add 200 naira to it. That's the only reason why I will give you the book. That is riba. That is interest. So Allah, and despite it is still a form of trade, but it is not. Why? You've added to the original amount and you've agreed to it because of a condition. That is interest. The loan you make, when you make a loan, you borrow 500,000, and they tell you, okay, for every 10,000, the interest is what? 500 naira. For instance, for every 10,000, for every week we add what? 2,000 naira to the 10,000 for every 10,000 you took every week, for instance. So despite you know that you'll be able to pay, even if you know you are going to pay, for you adding another amount to the original amount that you borrowed, it is riba, it is interest. Allah said what? That one is forbidden. But you paying, when you lend money from someone, you pay the person the exact amount. When someone lends money from you, he pays you the exact amount. You don't add to it. It is what? It is riba. You don't agree to add to it. Then I'll give you an example of mutashabih with this. When you know that when you lend money and you pay back the same amount, it is what? Halal. Allah said, okay, it's halal. You can do that. But when you lend money and you add to it, since you are going to stay long, you pay 1,000 naira to this amount for staying long. That is riba, that is interest. Allah said this is haram. Then you say, okay, since I lend this money to this person, so if for instance, since this person lent me money, if I want to give the person, I'll give him what? I'll add something to it. You start having doubt. Doesn't this thing look like riba? So it's also some form of riba. You have the doubt. You are not sure. They say, since you are not sure, for you not to fall into riba, into interest, just leave the money. Give the person that exact amount. Probably later, some other time, you can reward the person in any other way. To avoid yourself from what? From falling into what? Riba. From falling into haram. That is why the hadith says, دَعَ مَا يَرِيبُكَ إِلَى مَا لَا يَرِيبُكَ. That you should what? Pick the thing you don't have any doubt of. You know this thing is halal. Choose that one, do it. Then this other thing, you are doubting, is it halal or haram? Just leave it. Go for the one that is halal, leave the one that is haram, and the one you have doubt of. So explaining the hadith, it says, فَمَنِ اتَّقَى الْحَلَالَ وَبَيْنَهُمَا أُمُورُ مُشْتَبِهَاتٍ. That you have some suspicious thing between halal and haram. لا يعلمها كثير من الناس. That a lot of people are not aware of these suspicions, these things that are of doubt. They don't know the answer to these doubts. Why? He said many people don't know the answer to this because what? Very few amounts of people are what? Are scholars. You have few scholars among others. You might have scholars, but scholars of the deen are few. So if you don't have any scholar to ask from, that's you don't have anybody to ask, like, Sheikh, is this thing halal or is it haram? If you don't have anybody to ask to clear that doubt for you, just leave that thing. It is best. You leave the thing in as much as you have doubt about it. But when you meet a scholar and the Sheikh tell you, or you meet a man and the man tells you, it is halal, you can do it, then you can go ahead, mashallah. You have a clear, you have certainty now that what this thing is halal, then you can do it. When the Sheikh tell you, it's haram, then you leave it. So you should only pick something you are certain about. He said, and you should avoid what? Those things that are of doubt, those things you doubt. He said, لا يعلمها كثير من الناس فمن اتقى المشبهات استبرأ لدينه وعرضه. He said, the one who avoids things of doubt, things that he has doubt about, استبرأ لدينه وعرضه. He has saved himself from what? From sins. He has saved himself from sins by not what? Committing sin in his religion, and by not what? Being a sinful person in the eyes of people. عرضه, that's in the eyes of people. Dinihi was in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Prophet gave an example. He said, وَمَنْ وَقَعَ فِي الشُّبُهَاتِ. The one who falls into suspicion. That's the one that is not sure if this thing is halal, if this thing is allowed in Islam, or if this thing is prohibited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if it's haram. He said, كَرَاعٍ يَرْعَى حَوْلَ الْحِمَى. He said it's like a person who is what? Who is grazing around a restricted area. For instance, this is a complete area. You have this full Urura as a whole, as a place. Then, from this pillar, between these four pillars, is the land of what? Is the land of the king. Is the land of king. That's the king has a farmland here. He has a farmland here. But these other places around it, they are not for the king. Just between these four pillars, these are the land. This is the land that's what? That's for the king. He said, "Karo'in yar'a hawla al-hima." Then you say, okay, because there are other grasses here, you take your shepherd, your cattle, your ram, and you know the king has forbidden what? This is a restricted area. It's only for the king or for the government. Since we use government here, it's for the governor. He has forbidden that what? Nobody should what? Trespass into his farmland. Nobody should go into his farmland. I know it's forbidden for anyone to take anything from inside that governor's farmland. Then you say, okay, this is the governor's farmland. You control the animals, maybe the goats or the cows you are taking. And you say, okay, you graze, they only feed around it. How are you sure? If what? I know you are not sure that while you are controlling those at the front, one at the back might what? Might take from inside the king's farmland without you knowing. And you know if anything like that should happen, you'll be penalized. So he said, because you are not sure if anything like that can happen, for you to save yourself from problem, that's so one of your cows will not go inside and what? Destroy the farmland of the governor that will put you into calamity. You have other lands in this community. Just go somewhere else. Avoid this total area at all. Because why? You know this place is not for the king. You are very sure. It's not for the governor. But this place is for the governor. But you are not sure that what? The cattle you are rearing will know what? Go into that place. They say since you have that doubt, that what? It will not go into that place. To avoid trouble, just avoid that total environment. And what? Go somewhere else to save yourself from trouble. So that restricted area of the king, of the governor, you should avoid it. So what? To save yourself from calamity. That's because you know if any mistake should happen, that they take from it, you might be imprisoned or what? Dealt with. You will face the punishment. So that's the same way they are telling you to avoid suspicion deeds in the deen. And they said what? The restricted area of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the things he has forbidden. So if you see any other thing that looks as if it's forbidden, but you are not sure, just avoid it. Avoid that thing totally. Only go for the one you are what? You are sure of. Go for only the things you are what? You are sure of. So, يوشك أن يوقع فيه أن يعقيه ألا وإن لكل ملك حمى ألا إن حمى الله محارمه. That's what every king, every ruler has his own what? His own restricted area. But the restricted area of Allah is what? Is the things he has forbidden. So once you see anything that will make you go into the restricted area of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that will make you go into things that are haram, because you are not sure of them, just avoid it. You have doubt, is this thing halal? Did they allow this thing? Or did they make this thing haram? Just leave it. Instead, just go for the one you know what, that what, this thing, they say this thing is halal, okay, I will do it. They say this thing is haram, mashallah, I will go into it. وَإِنَّ, he said, وإن لكل ملك حمى ألا إن حمى الله محارمه ألا وإن في الجسد مضغة. He said, and in the heart there is what? There's a flesh in the human body. There's a flesh in the human body. He said, إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله. That if that flesh is okay, if that flesh in that human body is all right, صلح الجسد كله. That the whole body will be all right. Both health-wise and deen-wise. That is, if that flesh in the part of your body, there's a particular flesh in your body, if that flesh is okay, that human is okay. If the flesh is okay medically, that human is okay. If the flesh is okay, like in the deen, the flesh is very sure of what it's supposed to do, that human being is also what? Okay. When they affected but if that flesh, that part of your body is not okay, if it has issues, or the deen-wise too, you have issues with it, Islamically, he said what? The whole body too is also destroyed. He said, Ala wa huwa al-qalb. He said, that's the heart. That is, if your heart is okay, if you have a good heart, if you have certainty in your heart, if you can protect your heart, you can give your heart enough iman. He said that whole body is okay. But if your heart does not have enough iman, if your heart has weak faith, he said that whole body is what? It's still destroyed. So that's why they said, Inna Allah alimun bi dhati sudur. Allah what? It goes with what? The things in our hearts. That's why Allah judges us with our niyyah, the intentions we are having. So, and why he mentioned that is because an-nafs ammaratun bisu. It is that your mind that will tell you that what? This thing, it can be halal. It can be halal, it can be haram. Then do it. Your heart will be the one to what? To tell you that thing. But if you have enough iman, you can what? You can what? Avoid it. So we should try as much as possible. The things we are very sure about, the things we know that they are halal, we should do them. The things we know they are haram, we should leave them. The things we don't know if they are halal or haram, we should leave them too. Why? So we should be afraid of what? Of not falling into haram. We should be afraid of what? Not falling into haram. That's why we should what? We should leave the ones we are having doubt of. Then we should ask questions to clear those doubts. You ask questions to what? To clear those doubts. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy on us, and may He increase us in knowledge, and may He make it easy on us to know those that are halal and those that are haram. May He make us not be among those who falls into doubtful things. ومن هنا أخي فأقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم وآخر الدعوة الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.